As far as he is concerned, elections were conducted in Rivers State, and whether there were problems or not, whether the international observers observed any issues with it, well, of course, as long as the observation was that something went wrong and there are issues to be addressed, to him it's a no-no. And if the Independent National Electoral Commission moves to invalidate the results because there were problems with the electoral processes, of course, he has made his stand very clear. He's not going to accept it.
Yeah, what I think he's saying, okay, go on.
Yeah, he's called into question the neutrality of the assessment of the international observers, and that's a very strong allegation. That's why I mentioned earlier that it would be good, but if Jennifer was, what's her name again? If Jennifer was representing all of the international observers, speaking as one voice, who went to River State to cover, then that means that it's fine. But if there were other observers who were not under that umbrella that Jennifer represents, then maybe there is something, or maybe there's a question mark there somewhere, because that's why I started and we started to ask him categorically, are you saying that they're lying? Are you saying that it's not true, that they've been compromised by the governor because of the party? Because it seems as though that party seems to be losing, hence they are playing the sole loser, hence there's... but again, he mentioned that he's not saying that there's no irregularity at all. The last thing he said,
but that is not enough.
That is not enough
in his
view. So it's up to INEC now. There has to be proof. The people that are saying, the international observers, there has to be documentable proof to show that where was it tampered with? What sheets were tampered? Was there any picture taken of someone fleeing with election materials? Was anybody?
Well, the reason we have international observers is because even as a people, we have realized that we tend not to be able to sort of, if you like, judge ourselves, because most people have an interest in, you know, the outcome of our results, because we are Nigerians, so, you know, there are things we support. International observers, I think, are credible, and I think it's a little bit, I get a little bit concerned when Nigerian politicians try to sort of muddy the waters and also drag people who are reputable, and which is why they have sort of been brought here through their names through the mud in order to sort of promote their own personal agenda. So I have concerns about somebody just outrightly dismissing what observers have found. Now, if what he's saying, yes, if what he's saying, which is what he ended with, is that, look, he's not saying there were no problems, but he's saying that they were not enough, you know, to completely mar the conduct of the elections. I'm interested in looking at Jennifer's report, because she detailed voter intimidation, she detailed tampering with materials. She said they saw boxes where seals had been broken.
And I'm sure they'll have pictographic evidence.
And she talked about, and really, so it's now really about INEC.
Yeah.
I'm also concerned that he seems prepared to say that he will not accept, you know, the decision if INEC were to decide to cancel elections.
And
he
implied
it.
He implied it, but he didn't say it.
Now, at this,
he said they didn't have the right.
Yeah, I've got something to say. You see, just like in a football game, if the referee stalls long enough to allow observers, those who are in the stands, begin to have a stronger voice or a louder voice, an opinion louder than his over something that happened in a game he's a referee over, there is going to be a problem. Now, if you ask the election observer a question and said, how soon is your report going to reach INEC? And said it's ready, or they sent a report. And so if an election observer has a report over something that happened in River State, and we have not heard anything from INEC, it smells like trouble. And so in the next few hours, I think INEC should come out and give us a position over this so that it doesn't begin to impact on the credibility of INEC itself.
Then too, the INEC officials that were there themselves when those things were happening. So they have their report that they're sending to the headquarters. So they should have a report coming from their people on the ground as well.
Also, let's not forget that Lynne, Jennifer did mention that they tried to gain access into the INEC headquarters, probably to see what was going on in there, probably to see the officials, the administrators of INEC in
I think
River
it was
State.
to actually submit, you know, their observations.
And of course, they were not
I don't
allowed
know whether we
access.
should make much of a meal of that, because we don't know the circumstances under which that happened.
Yeah.
We didn't let them in, could have been for a myriad of reasons.
It's a very simple matter, Olumide.
so-
you want to submit a document.
No, but it could be so as bad as just people at the gate. You know how this country
exactly.
is.
So we don't
They
know
may- the
that
main
just
guys might not
because-
have even known
known
they were
about
there.
this.
That's the truth.
Yeah, so we have to get word from INEC, hear back from INEC on that. They didn't let them in. Why? INEC will tell us, and then we will know whether there was a skeleton.
But I think
in the closet.
Ricardo made a really important point, which is that the longer this drags on,
Yes.
the more complicated it gets, the more you sort of muddy the waters, and it becomes that much more difficult to come out with a position that will be acceptable to either party.
Well, we hope we'll be hearing from INEC soon enough.